Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Simaharani Jaya Vrinda Devi Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Jaya Shri Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Jaya Vrinda Jaya Shri Vrinda.
Vishnu Bhakti Satya Vachaya Namaha. Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Your most respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vaishnavebhyo. Okay. All right. It's good to see Radhika Rupa and Chitraleka here. All right. Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Bihari Mopi Nanamalaba Iri Padataguchi Mopi Janabalaba Iri Padataguchi Yasunanana Rajajanuranjana Yasunanan Dana Rajajanuranjana Jamuna Tira
Manachante Yamuna Chera Manachante Jairanumad Uva Kunabehante Jairadu Manuva Kunabehante Mupi Janabalaba Ire Badadhade Mupi Dada Badaba Ire Badadhade Yasudananda Janananda Yasudananda Janananda Jamuna Tera Manachante Yamuna Tera Manachante Jairanumabhuva Kunnabehante Jairanumabhuva Kunnabehante Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramahansa Asudara with the seed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Friends, say Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopidas Shai Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavanam ki jai. Maturam ki jai. Jagadava Swami ki jai. Yamunamai ki jai. Shrimati Tulasi Devi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premalanda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Budale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Pachani Nivashesha Shinyavadi Pashachadeya Shatarni. So today we are reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, text, chapter 63, text 38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tvam Eka Adya Purusho Aditiyas Turya Swa Drig Hetur Ahetur Isha Pratiyase Atapi Yata Vikaram Swa Mayaya Sarva Guna Prasidhyai Tvameka Adya Purusho Dvitiyas Turyas Vadrigde Tureheturisha Pratiyase Tapiya Tavikaram Swamayat Sarva Gunapasidjai Tvam Eka Purusho Dutiyas Turyasvadrik De Turaheturisha Pratiyase Tapi Tavikaram Swamaya Sarvaguna Pasidjai Tvameka Purusho Dutiyas Turyasvadrik De Turaheturisha Pratiyase Tapi Tavikaram Swamaya Sarvaguna Prasidjai All right. Twam, you. Ekaka, one. Adya, original. Purusha, supreme person. Advitiya, without a second. Turiya, transcendental. Sarvadrik, self-manifesting. Hetu, the cause. Ahetu, having no cause. Isha, the supreme controller. Pratiyase, you are perceived. Ata ape, nonetheless. Yata, according to. Vikaram, various transformations. Swa, by your own. Maya, illusory potency. Sarva, of all. Guna, material qualities. Prasiddhai, for the complete manifestation. So translation, you were the original person, one without a second, transcendental and self-manifesting. Uncaused, you are the cause of all, and you are the ultimate controller. You are nonetheless perceived in terms of the transformations of matter affected by your illusory energy, transformations you sanction so that the various material qualities can fully manifest. So you can repeat, you are the original person, one without a second, transcendental and self-manifesting, uncaused. You are the cause of all, and you are the ultimate controller. You are nonetheless perceived in terms of the transformations of matter affected by your illusory energy. Transformations you sanction so that the various material qualities can fully manifest. So purport by the followers of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Acharyas comment as follow on this verse. Srila Shridhara Swami explains that the term Aja Purusha, the original Purusha, indicates that Lord Krishna expands himself as Mahavishnu, the first of the three Purushas, who take charge of the cosmic manifestation. The Lord is Eka Advitiya, one without a second, because there is no one equal to the Lord or different from him. No one is completely equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and yet because all the living entities are expansions of the potency of the Godhead, no one is qualitatively different from him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu nicely explains this inconceivable situation by stating that the absolute truth and the living entities are qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. The Absolute possesses infinite spiritual consciousness, whereas the living beings possess infinitesimal consciousness, which is subject to being covered by illusion. Jiva Goswami, commenting on the term Aja Purusha, quotes from the Sattvata Tantra Vishnostu Trini Rupani. There are three forms of Vishnu for cosmic manifestation, etc. Srila Jiva Goswami also quotes a statement of the Lord from Shruti, Purvam Ivaham Ihasam. In the beginning, I alone existed in this world. Of course, that's very similar to the first verse of the Chatu Shloka verses of the Bhagavatam, Hamevasam Evagre. So this statement describes the form of the Lord called the Purusha Avatar, who exists before the cosmic manifestation. Srila Jiva Goswami also quotes the following Shruti mantra. Tat Purushasya Pushatvam Purushatvam, which means such constitutes the Lord's status as Purusha. Actually, Lord Krishna is the essence of the Purusha incarnation because he is Turiya, as described in the present verse. Jiva Goswami explains the term Turiya, literally the fourth, by quoting Sridhar Swami's commentary to the Bhagavatam, verse 11, 15, 16. Virat Hadyangarvascha Karanam Chet Upadaya Ishashayatribhirhinam Turiyam Tad Vidur Buddha. The Lord's universal form, his Aranyagarbha form, and the primeval causal manifestation of material nature are all relative conceptions. But because the Lord himself is not covered by these three intelligent authorities call him the fourth. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the word Turiya indicates that the Lord is the fourth member of the quadruple expansion of Godhead called the Chatur Vyuha. In other words, Lord Krishna is Vasudeva. Lord Krishna is Sarvadrik. That is, he alone can perceive himself perfectly because he is the infinite spiritual existence, infinitely pure. He is Hetu, the cause of everything, and yet he is a Hetu without cause. Therefore, he is Isha, the supreme controller. The last two lines of this verse are of special philosophical significance. Why is the Lord perceived differently by different persons, although he is one? A partial explanation is given here. By the agency of Maya, the Lord's external potency, material nature is in a constant state of transformation. Vikara. In one sense, then, material nature is unreal, asat. But because God is the supreme reality, and because he is present within all things, and all things are his potency, material objects and energies possess a degree of reality. Therefore, some people see one aspect of material energy and think, this is reality, while other people see a different aspect of material energy and think, no, that is reality. Being conditioned souls, we're covered by different configurations of material nature. And thus we describe the supreme truth or the supreme Lord in terms of our corrupted vision. Yet even the covering qualities of material nature, such as our conditioned intelligence, mind, and senses, are real, being the potency of the supreme Lord. And therefore, through all things we can perceive in a more or less subjective way the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why the present verse states, Pratiyase, you are perceived. Furthermore, without the manifestation of material nature's covering qualities, the creation could not fulfill its purpose, namely to allow the conditioned souls to make their best attempt to enjoy without God, so they will finally understand the futility of such an illusory notion. Whew. So much in there, isn't it? So, again, I'm just going to read the verse again, and then if we have time, we'll go on to the commentaries of the Acharyas. So, Tvameka Purusho Dvitiyas Turyasvadrik Detur Hetu Isha Pratiyase Tapi Yathavikaram Swamaya Sarvaguna Prasidjai Somaganat Timidandasha Gadanjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmiditam Yena Tasmai Shi Gurave Namaha. So, primarily we're going to speak about this word, vikaram, which is there in the synonyms and actually in the verse. Vikaram, of course, means various transformations or transformations. There's another word used, Sanskrit word, which is pretty similar, which is called parinama. Parinama also means transformations. So, when the Lord creates this material world through the agency of his illusory potency, then the Lord enables his illusory potency to undergo many transformations. That's called parinama. Actually, we are advocates of a particular type of what's called parinama vada. Parinama means basically the philosophy of transformation. And this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. Now let's get into the Mayavad philosophy. In other words, let me further elaborate. The Lord is unchanged. He does not undergo any transformation, nor does he undergo anything called vivarta. Vivarta means illusion. We undergo illusion. And the soul doesn't undergo transformation, but the body and the material energy undergo different types of transformation. The soul is always the same, just like we have that verse that I'm very fond of reciting. Nityasiddha Krishna Prem Sajikoranai Shravanadi Shuddhachite Kori Doi. That the soul doesn't get transformed. It's eternally Krishna conscious, eternally has its relationship with Krishna, but it becomes covered. So the soul is subject to vivarta. I'm trying to explain these things. The soul is not subject to parinam, transformation. The Lord is not subject to either one of those two things. Does everyone understand that? The Lord is not subject to transformation or illusion. And because we are subject to illusion, as described in this purport, we perceive the Lord in different ways. That's called projection. It's a psychological term. And one of those early Greek philosophers talked about that, that if Ethiopians had God, he would look in a particular way. And if horses had a God, and horses could have some philosophy, they would perceive God as a horse. Of course, we also understand God does manifest himself as a horse, right? I agree with it. And God does manifest himself as a lion, and God manifests himself in every species of life, as Prabhupada describes, and also sometimes he combines species of life, like half man, half lion, or I agree with actually is a combination like that. So, anyway, so we tend to project our conception of God upon the absolute. In other words, we think that God must be like that. And that's called mental speculation. And you find in the history of the Western religions, primarily the Western religions and actually even the primitive religions of this world, they actually project their conception, their material conception upon the absolute. And you'll find in the Christian history, there's so many theologians who speculate upon the nature of God based upon their own logic or based upon their own experience. And of course we find in the Mahabharata, what do we find in the Mahabharata? Tako pratishta shutina vibhina. That you're not going to understand the nature of God by logic and reasoning, nor by even studying the Vedic literature, the Shrutis. Of course, the ultimate conclusion in that Mahabharata verse is what? Mahajinayena Gata sapanta. Ultimately, one has to follow in the footsteps of the great personalities, and then one can understand the absolute truth. So, and that's because we have, again, simple Krishna consciousness, different faults, which are described by Srila Prabhupada in the Vedic literatures like imperfect senses. So in other words, what we perceive is not what is actually there. In practically every case, I mean, of course, I do perceive that this is a chair, but ultimately, it's Krishna's energy, so it's not really a complete perception of what's happening here. I'm not perceiving the atoms, I'm not perceiving the molecules, I'm not perceiving whatever else is happening, the little bugs that are inside here right now. So it's an incomplete, imperfect perception. So we have imperfect senses, and we definitely have a tendency to cheat others. We make mistakes. I think everybody would admit that, hopefully, except for some political personalities in America that remain nameless. We make mistakes, and we're an illusion. We think what does illusion mean? We think we're something that we're not. Or we see something in one way, and it's actually not that way. So these are the defects of the condition. So therefore, our understanding of the absolute truth does not hold water. It's not valid. Unless we actually accept what the Vedas say. And the only way we'll understand what the Vedas say is what? Mahajanayena Gata Sapanta. That's the only way. So the only way I know of the Vedas, because we have Prabhupada. Prabhupada is our Mahajana, the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, the one who has explained the purpose of the Vedas. Of course, Krishna also explains the purpose of the Vedas in the 15:15 of the Bhagavad Gita, Vedas Chasaber Ahameva Vedyo. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So, anyway, we are so fortunate that we don't succumb to the impersonal philosophy, the Shankaracharya's teaching of something that is called Vivartavada. Vivartavada means, basically, according to Sripad Shankaracharya and his Sarirakya Pasha, that Brahman does not get transformed. He agrees with that. Just like I mentioned before, we say that Brahman does not get transformed. He also says that Brahman does not get transformed. But the way he explains this material manifestation is that he says that Brahman gets covered by what? Illusion. And actually, this material world is a big illusion. We don't say that. We say that we are an illusion about the material world. I mean, just to be technical. Sometimes we do say the material world is illusory. But it's illusory because of our perspective. Not that it doesn't exist. It does exist. But it's continually being, again, parinama, continually being transformed, changing. That's the illusion. Nasato vijate bhavo, nabhavo vijate sataha, ubayor api, dristo antas, tvanias tattva darshavi. First one in the Bhagavad Gita just states that the sages talk about the material energy, and they say that because the material energy is continually being transformed, in other words, because things are temporary, they're considered unreal. Like a soap bubble, when I was young, I would blow soap bubbles. And also, I hate to admit it, and also bubble gum bubbles. Sometimes they explode in my face. So they're unreal. because they're temporary. Where is that soap bubble? Where is that bubble gum bubble? Bubble gum bubble. Anyway, interesting expression. Because it came into existence and it goes out of existence. But the energy from which it is made, which is Krishna's energy, it's real. You understand? Like Krishna's, like the pradhana is real. Here the creation is being described because you're talking about the Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu, he breathes out and the universe has come out from him in the seed-like form. That's the pradhana. It's real. But then he transforms it. Hare Krishna. He transforms the pradhana by his glance, his energy, Krishna's creative potency. Of course, we do know, as I've described many times before, that glance is known as what? Shambhu. So Shambhu transforms the pradhana, the unmanifest stage of the three modes of nature, material energy, just like one transforms a lump of clay and turns it into so many different things. And then at the end of playing with the lump of clay, Play-Doh, as we used to play, or silly putty, it's showing I'm dated. Anyways, then you put it back into the little container. So what's real? What's real is the pradhana, the energy, and it just becomes transformed. Interesting. So anyways, so what Shankaracharya says is that Brahman becomes covered and becomes an illusion, not transformed, because that is a type of transformation, as pointed out by some of our acharyas, to say that someone becomes influenced by illusion. It's interesting. You know, if I say to you, I mean, I'm not transforming your body, but if I do some magic trick, you know, pull some rabbits out of a hat or out of your hair, or money out of your ears, whatever, I'm sort of transforming. In one sense, I'm putting you in illusion, but it's a transformation of your body when I pull some things out of your body. So in the same way, Shankaracharya, in spite of being against Parinamvada, because he has this philosophy, which we also agree with, the Brahman is the greatest and it can't be transformed. Indirectly, he's saying, you understand the point? Indirectly, he's saying it's undergoing transformation because of illusion, which is quite interesting. And so anyway, so he believes the Brahman can be put into illusion or covered by illusion like us. Hare Krishna. To think that Brahman can be an illusion, whereas the word Brahman is the greatest. Anyway, so the problem with this particular philosophy is that if Brahman can be covered, actually Prabhupada points this out and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu points it out very nicely, if Brahman can be covered, that means whatever covers it is stronger than or more powerful than Brahman. Just like if someone can put us into illusion, that person is, in one sense, has that power over us. You understand? Like if someone can hypnotize you, like we've been hypnotized that we have this body, that we are such and such age, that we're not gonna die a honey bhutani gachantiya Himalayam. And that potency is more powerful than us, the modes of nature. I mean, that's another point too, that sometimes the devotees think they can overcome the modes of nature. They think they're more powerful. Of course, we do know Davi Yeshu Gudmaya Mama Maya Durachya. Mama Evaye Purpajante Nahamaita. But the Ranjite, if one surrenders to Krishna, they can go beyond it. But sometimes devotees think that I'm so advanced in devotional service that I am immune from the contact with the modes of nature. Therefore, they become lax in Krishna consciousness. And because they become lax in Krishna consciousness and take up bad association, which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised the devotees against, what is it? A satsangachage Vaishnavachar. The quality of a Vaishnava is a satsang, give up bad association. Then they deviate, just like we see sometimes in ISKCON. Someone is just, very strong brahmachari, and he associates, he's thinking, I'm so strong, and, I can be alone with women and everything like that. And then ultimately, you see this again and again, ultimately he succumbs because he has the tendency, he's the marginal potency of the Lord. He can be overcome by illusion. Whereas Brahman cannot be overcome by illusion. So in essence, that's the difference between the Advaita philosophy and our philosophy. And interestingly enough, the Vedic literatures, the Shrutis, the Smritis, the Puranas, and especially Vedanta Sutra, they're all in favor of Shakti Parinam Vada, sorry. Not Brahman Parinam Vada. I guess I define the terms in case people start forgetting what I just said. They're in favor of the potency being transformed. Remember Parinam? Remember those two words. Parinam and Vivarta. Can everybody remember? Parinam means transformation. Vivarta means an illusion. So the Shrutis, I'm reiterating, so the Shrutis, the Puranas, and especially the Vedanta Sutra, they're in favor of Parinam. Parinam, Shakti Parinam, the potency of Krishna being transformed, not in favor of Brahman Parinam, neither is Shankaracharya, and not in favor of Vivarta, Brahman Vivarta, Brahman, the transformation of Brahman. So why, so the question is, this is like an exposition of Mayavad philosophy, so the question is, how can Shankaracharya, or how did Shankaracharya derive his philosophy? By taking the indirect meaning of the Vedanta Sutra, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu points out very well in his discussion with Prakashananda Saraswati in Benares. And actually, it's interesting that in that particular discussion, the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati admit that they're only following this, Vivarta, Shakti Vivarta, Brahman Vivarta, because that happens to be their group's philosophy. It's actually quite interesting and funny, isn't it? We follow this because, that's what we're supposed to do. So one has to be very intelligent in Krishna consciousness and not follow something simply because that's what you're supposed to follow. And of course, we should understand why we believe what we believe in. Very important, So, and have a logical explanation for it. So we're very fortunate in the Krishna consciousness movement. We have that through the agency and the directions of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So, anyway, there's a lot more to say about this, and I could have read the commentaries of the Acharyas, which are full of information, but that's all we have time for. Any questions or comments? I hope that was clear. Trying to make some simple points. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you still get benefit from it. But Prabhupada did say blind following and absurd, this is in the Bhagavad Gita, this purport, are condemned. So, yeah, sure. I mean, Gata Sukriti and all that other nice stuff. Someone chants the holy name. Just like we've been watching some of these bhajans that, devotees do. And, they're getting people who don't know anything about philosophy to chant. Sure, there's a lot of benefit. But we should be able to explain Krishna consciousness and not get bewildered, because even these people who go to these kirtans and don't understand the philosophy, they may even think they're merging into the holy name. So it's important that be a philosophical base, because one thinks they're merging, or, that the Lord can be an illusion or something like that. You're committing an offense against the Lord. So your whole spiritual life is being held up because of that. Okay, on that happy note.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Maravindanalayataksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalem Priyavriti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Saminiti Namande Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacha Neke Sesha Shunyavani Masya Jagati Saturday Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanachanana Shri Advaita Gadana Sivasati Gaurata Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Haranachanda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanachananda Sri Advaita Gadana Sivasati Gaurata Vrinda Krishna Dana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanachananda Sri Gadana Sivasati Gaurata Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Jai Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare, Rama Rama Hare, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Chaitodarpanam Arjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratibhadam Murnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Bhatitam Mam Vishamevavam Buddha Kripaya Tavapada Pankajas Dijaduli Sadrushim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gad Gadrudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahaneba Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bhavishayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishya Vapadamritam Panastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatavatava Vadatatulam Pato Mat Purananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested in all your transcendental energies. They're not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth